I'm just going to have the judges just say their name and a little something, 15 seconds about your investment life. Dave? I don't hear Dave. Unmute yourself. How about if we go to, hang on. Here comes Dave. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Hey guys, Dave Krothmer. Came up through industry, was a CIO, started a company, went on to be Oracle's cloud partner, biggest cloud partner. I'm the chair of the Digital Disruption Group, Band of Angels, done a fair amount of investing, and I'm also the founder of a couple quantum computing companies.
Awesome. And your financing world?
My financing world? Just everywhere.
Okay, good. All right, Chiranjeev.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
I'm a physician. Educationally, I went to undergrad and med school out of Brown, did an MBA out of Stanford. A little while ago, co-founded several companies. 2 went on to be publicly traded. The family currently invests in aerospace and defense, renewable energy, and biopharma. We have a portfolio company in digital healthcare.
Awesome. Paul Hayek with the cat. You're muted.
Hello, everybody. I've worked in tech and entertainment and finance, and just look for really super interesting companies. I've also been a grant reviewer for the National Science Foundation. So I look to help companies get past the valley of death.
Awesome. All right. Brian McMahon, who's maybe making $100,000 investment tonight. We hope so. We'll see.
Hey, Molly. Yeah, great to meet you all. Expert Dojo, founder of Expert Dojo. So we're investing right now, certainly over the last 5 or 6 weeks, about 2 to 3 checks a week. We do $100,000 checks. Companies who come through the cohort, we will do plenty of follow-on investment in there as well. And just extremely active, very aggressive investing in the early stage space right now. And a great friend of Molly's. We go back a long, long time.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Brian, for all your support. Ro, live from New York. Yes, hi.
You all hear me?
Yes.
Great. So, Ro Toyoshima, I'd like to introduce myself as a professional investor by day and private investor by night. Started a asset management firm back in 2006, grew to about $2 billion. Recently got sold to another larger financial firm. I also privately invest on my own, and so I've been an angel investor for a few years.
Thank you, Ro. Thank you for joining us. Mark.
Can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
All right. I do startup companies. I've been doing it for about 25 years or so, and it kind of crosses a board many different genres, everything from media technology to restaurants. Almost all of them, though, tie in with some kind of sustainability element and looking toward the future so the business model stands the test of time. It's something that you want to, when you plan out your business now, you want to make sure that it has the ability to stand up over the duration of time, especially in trials like what's happening right now with COVID. So you have to build them good from the very beginning. Also, the key is on a lot of these projects is the branding element. We can talk about it at a different time, though. Anyway, good meeting all you guys.
Great. Dan.
He's muted.
Oh, Dan, you're muted. And while he's unmuting himself, I have to give him a special shout out because I truly have, I have taken over Dan's life with like 9 assignments with this event, and he's still smiling, luckily. Thank you, Dan, for everything.
No problem. No, it's great. Dan Mapes. I'm the founder of Versus.io, which is a new kind of spatial protocol company that is creating the kind of next generation of the internet. We've just done a couple of acquisitions over the last 6 months into our company. Also sit on the boards of a number of other companies who have invested in other startups, and we've got joint ventures in China and Europe and other kinds of things. So I love the startup world. I've done a couple of exits over the last 10 years, and it's really been a rewarding and wonderful journey. So I'm a startup person myself, and I love supporting other startup people.
Thank you, Dan. And as a side note, Dan is speaking tonight in the Museum of Other Realities. And Dan, an email just came in that if you email Robin Stetham, who's on that group, your presentation, he's going to upload it now for you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. And thank you. I know not just Dan, a lot of you I've given many assignments to, and I really, really appreciate it. And so does Yannicka. Are there any other investor or judges, industry experts judging tonight that I did not introduce? Okay. With that said, Christopher.
Wait,
hey, Molly, sorry, Skip Sanzeri here.
Peter.
Hey, sorry, Skip Sanzeri, great to be here. And so I'm in venture capital. I have Multiverse Capital fund in Silicon Valley, and then also I'm an angel investor and have done a lot of work with Dave here in quantum computing recently. So glad to be here. Thanks.
Skip, and can you just mention, because you invested in our winner 2 years ago, and that was a real success story for both of us.
Absolutely, Machinebox. Yeah, Machinebox won the competition a couple of years ago, and actually Dave and I worked on that one together. Dave Crothamer and Aaron Adele in the group won your competition, and then they got a fantastic exit recently, about a year ago, I should say, but really a nice exit in AI company. So that was great. Yeah.
Baritone, very exciting.
Yeah, Baritone bottom. Yeah, that's right.
Very exciting. And
Molly, there's also Lucy Chow for judges.
Molly Sandip is here.
Yeah, fabulous. We're going to start with Lucy.
Hi there. I'm joining you all from Dubai. And so my focus on investing has primarily been in the tech space, and the portfolio mainly in the Middle East, because that's where I'm based, and the US. So I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks.
Thanks. And Lucy also supports women-led ventures, which we greatly appreciate indeed. And there are others. Who have I missed? Please go. Did I get everyone? Oh, Sandeep, who gave us a riveting keynote, and Peter yet. Sandeep, go ahead. Thank you for that great keynote this morning.
Oh, you're quite welcome. My name is Sandeep Bhagat. I'm Chief Investment Officer at Whittier Trust. Whittier Trust is the oldest and largest privately held multifamily office in the Western United States. We create customized investment solutions for high net worth clients, manage $13 billion in assets. And I see that the public markets are becoming debt-laden. That should be an overhang on growth. And so I'm particularly interested in the private markets, early stage, new economy, technology-enabled, AI-based. And if there is a social angle to it, even better. So that's what I'm looking for.
Great. And next, I'd like to introduce Peter, who luckily missed his train in Davos so that I met him at the World Economic Forum. Peter.
Indeed, pleasure to be a part of this distinguished panel. Thank you very much, Molly, for the invitation. Now, look, we're a family office. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, investor, and lived on basically every continent. So I've definitely gone through the startup trials and tribulations that every single one of the competitive contestants today has gone through. Now, we're our own family office. We also, for a single family, but also as well, we do a lot of direct and co-investments with other families around the world. In addition to that, we've got much larger partners at an institutional level. We very much like social impactful investments, so waste management, technology, alternative energy, et cetera, et cetera. We generally look at things that are a little more established, but we do take on the occasional startup if we think it's an alignment of interest and plugs in well. So very excited to be here and looking forward to a really exciting panel of contestants.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think all the judges have introduced Emily Dalton, our timekeeper. You are here. You are ready to timekeep. Yes. Good. So reminder, that's 3 minutes and every 30 seconds, the last 30 seconds is when you speak out and then the alarm, 4 minutes for the judges. You got it. Catherine is your backup. 3 minutes for the pitchers and 4 minutes for them. Okay, we've got a thumbs up. Christopher, take it away as MC. And a special thank you from Giannica and I for doing this. We're very excited about this moment.
Thank you, Molly, and welcome everyone to the AI Showbiz Summit 4.0 PitchFest. It's my pleasure to MC again this year. I was fortunate enough to MC last year as well at the in-person conference in Redwood City. Without further ado, let's start off with our first company for the PitchFest, Bastian Den Braber, founder of the Zambezi Project.
Thank you, Chris. Let me just do the screen share. Here we are. So thank you, Chris. So my name is Bastian, and we're the Zambezi Project. It's our mission to achieve zero poaching in sub-Saharan Africa within our lifetime. Our technology will be the world's first multi-platform predictive analytics solution for conservation. My professional background is in consulting, entrepreneurship, and venture capital, and I've traveled sub-Saharan Africa extensively since 2003, including being trained as a safari field guide in 2009. My co-founder, Jenna Seiden, is a second-generation wildlife conservationist who worked for 20 years within the largest tech and media companies. The problem: we are on track to eradicate entire wildlife species in the next 10 to 30 years. That means by the time that we're done pitching here today in these 2 hours, another 8 elephants will have been slaughtered for their ivory. So we are the last generation who can stop this. The problem is in both demand and supply. Why is there supply? Well, that's because there are more than 400 million people in sub-Saharan Africa living in absolute poverty, and that was pre-COVID. For them, one kill means sustenance for their entire family for a year. It's our combined expertise in technology, entrepreneurship, and investment that allows to effectively address the supply side of the problem. We spent years understanding conservation dynamics and did extensive due diligence on the ground and created these 4 use cases. Our first project is in Zimbabwe, where we're at the Pendamasui forest area, which is a pristine area of 84,000 acres, former hunting concession, turning into a conservation area for rewilding of elephants. And as with most of the 8,400 plus conservation areas, protected areas in sub-Saharan Africa, it's unfenced. We have 14 ranges with rubber boots and onesies, and they're up against poachers, which are former military guys, typically with AK-47s. What we are building is a wildlife protection platform to support those 4 use cases. We work with global tech giants who play a role in conservation, plus highly specialized solution providers. Scaling from level 0 to level 5 within our tech stack goes along with our funding progress. The first 100K will get us secure communications, a real-time control room, and automated data collection. And every level in the tech stack after that builds on top of that. We can innovate this way because we work as an independent third party, which allows us to build an integrated solution and also create unique IP. Our solution provides direct impacts to SDGs 1, 8, and 15. And we share the architecture and the predictive models with the global conservation community. We'll be working with Proof of Impact, who will track, report, and audit our progress on the blockchain. So we are set to achieve zero poaching in our lifetime. Are you with us? Thank you.
Thank you, Bastian. We'll move on now to, is it questions, Molly?
Yeah, questions and feedback from the judges, 4 minutes. So if any of the judges have, this resonates with you and you have something to say, just begin speaking. If 2 speak at once, Chris will pick someone to go first.
Yeah, Boz, have you had any other support? I know you. It sounds like you've been on the ground a lot yourself, and you've got. I saw Esri and Harasis and some other organizations there. What kind of support are you getting from other like government agencies or NGOs? Seems like a really noble effort.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Dan. It's a great question. So all of the parties that you saw on that slide, those global tech partners, are active partners right now. They're either contributing their technology for free or at cost. And each one of them have a specialized but also typically isolated conservation solutions. So we're bringing those together and integrating them, laying on top of that this predictive analytics solution that really combines all of them. And we're in the process of writing grants as well to like AI for Earth, because we have a scientific component in there with USC. But it's an actual professor who's going to do the research on the predictive analytics. So there's a grants component to it, there's private funding to it, and there's contributions from the tech partners.
Hey, Boz, what's your revenue model?
This is for us, this is not a revenue generating model, not for now at least. You know, when we're in the top level, we have this thing called prevention as a service, which we can start considering rolling out. We do this in conjunction also under Zambezi Partners with Zambezi Ventures, which is our venture capital arm, which is intending to do $25 million worth of investments in Zimbabwe as well, which invest in 4 sectors that are highly profitable, but also highly correlated to our impact work through the Zambezi project.
Hey, can
Sebastian, this is fantastic. What about alternative economic opportunities for the poachers?
Thank you for asking that, because that's the #1 question that's really relevant to our model. So one thing through the Zambezi project, by doing conservation, bringing in technology, we also need to hire local people to actually run the operations. So that's one aspect. Zambezi Ventures, as I said, is designed to do investments across 4 different verticals. One of them is ecotourism, which is targeting to do investments in the same conservation project that we just talked about. There's also a microfinance component to it. So we'll be investing in a microfinance company, which will double its efforts to the west side of the country in our case, where they can support the local communities and really provide financing in a way that makes sense for those local communities at a very basic level to develop services and products that we can then monetize through the tourism part of our business.
Baz, can you talk about the number of people you're hoping to impact? I see that you're starting in a very specific segment or geography, but do you plan to roll this out in a larger geography?
Yes, that's also a really good question. We're so lucky with our conservation partners because this first area is 84,000 acres and the local communities right nearby that we intend to develop economically, but really make a economically and socially benefit from the fact that there is conservation right next door, which hasn't been the case for decades, which we're solving a lot of social problems just by developing the area. Now, our conservation partners are expanding to a total of 272,000 acres within the next year. So this is our first area, if you will, and we can already start replicating this model within Zimbabwe. So within the conjunction of Zambezi Ventures, the investments in Zimbabwe as well. Once we've kind of exhausted Zimbabwe, if you will, we're looking to expand within that area I showed on a map, the Kavango Zambezi area, which covers 5 different countries. So we can start expanding to Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, Angola, as long as the model makes financial and impact sense. But that's the grander scheme of things, yes.
Bastian, I'm working on 2 projects currently in Africa. They're both sustainability projects. So after this event too, if you need some help with that, I can kind of direct you. And the ecotourism, to Dave's point, is exactly one of the big keys on making this a long-term goal. Yes. We also have to figure out a way to diminish the demand on the buy end of a lot of these animal products that come out of there. Mm-hmm. You almost have to socially demonize them, and it's something that we can work on as well. The sustainability project that I worked on, one of them in particular, we planted so many trees around the mountain gorilla habitat. 20% of the animals have come back, and we were accredited with doing that over the last 20 years.
That's awesome. So glad to hear that. We have the same thing. It was a former hunting concession where we are, just because our partners started to rewild elephants. There are wild elephants, wild dogs, lions, 2 types of hyenas, large herds of buffaloes. It works really well, and ecotourism is a key economic driver.
Thank you, Bastian. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're out of time. Thank you, judges, and we're going to move on now to our second member of the PitchFest, Erdebold Sukbatar, the founder and president of Mars V.
Can I start? Hello, everyone. This is Erdebold from Mars V project from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. We're going to be making a briefing of the project on behalf of my team. According to some research, the world's population is expected to reach about 10 billion by 2050. It will result in food crisis, water scarcity, and power supply shortage. This fact demands us to obtain certain survival skills, not only to protect and save our Earth, but also to research other planets for producing more resources. Global space technology institutions are working hard to establish a self-sustainable city on Mars, with hundreds of international space tourists by 2050. Our project's vision is to build a strong bridge to make this dream come true. In order to accomplish the vision, we have three primary initiatives. They are: one, construct a Mars adaptive survival training base in the Mongolian Gobi Desert of Mongolia, capable of training over 100,000 people annually, which is also prototype and simulation base. Work closely with relevant institutions to develop technologies for the Mars city. 3, construct a Mars city, which is a satellite down in the Gobi Desert. The temperature in the Gobi Desert reaches negative and positive 40 degrees by Celsius, which is very diverse as in Mars. Additionally, it is one of the most uninhabited and isolated locations in the world. For furthering this project, international joint efforts are a crucial part. First of all, we would like to work together with space research organizations to advance technologies for the Mars. Secondly, we are seeking to introduce the project and its singularity to the world leaders in the foreign governments and investors and partners. Within framework of such wide partnering range, we offer the Mars project to space technology developers, space tourists, and agencies. In short, both professionals and amateurs can benefit from the project. Mars for everyone is our motto. About the project implementing process, we already completed the initial estimate for the facility construction and promoted international cooperation opportunities. Therefore, we are aiming to do two primary tasks at the moment. One, scale up our project feasibility study and comprehensive planning, and to keep partnering with technology developers. 2, commence the construction work of the facility in the Gobi Desert. Currently, our main goal is to generate necessary funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erdogan. We'll move on now to the 4 minutes for judges' questions.
Hi, it's Brian here from Expert Dojo. I'm still trying to understand what you're actually doing. So are you building a training facility for when folks can go to Mars in the future? And if you are, and I understand the Gobi deserts and all the reasons why that would be a good place, but like, why? And how are you going to make money? I don't fully understand what the investment deal is.
Thank you very much for this question. And there are 24 deserts in the Earth. There are 13 of them hot deserts, 2 of them polar, and 2 of them coastal deserts, and just 7 of them cold deserts. Among these 7 cold deserts, Mongolian Gobi is reaching highest cold temperature and then highest positive temperature. Physically, this is the physically and landscape opportunity for likely to Mars is the best choice in the Earth. That is the first thing. Second thing is our geopolitical condition is very open to investment, that kind of cooperation. And Mongolian Gobi is reaching minus 45 to positive 45. That is the one great opportunity. And then also Mongolian, we're gonna create adaptive and survival comprehensive training base, and which is we have spiritually lots of experience on that field. And then, of course, the mankind, the giant countries is announcing the mission to Mars, which is we're going to create a simulation and prototype, which is cluster zone for the mankind and technology of science.
Just following on that question about revenue streams, have you had, because I think you want to also establish a free zone for science companies. Have you had any interest? Can you talk about partners?
Yeah, last year we introduced this project to JAXA, Japanese Space Agency, and NASA, and Indian Space Research Organization, and Roscosmos. And then we are just cooperating together, and MIPAC, the Mars Exploration Working Group, Mars Exploration Program Analysis Group, and International Mars Exploration Working Group. We have very tight connection in this field, and they are extremely supporting this project. which is we're gonna create 3 different projects. The first one is adaptive and survival base, training base, and second one is the International Mars Exploration Center, and the third one is Satellite City. Then the first project is psychologically, physically, and also cognitive knowledge, and then also cooperation improving center for mankind.
And these are signed MOUs or commitments?
We are a member of these 2 organizations, which is MIPAG and IMEGG, and then also Indian side. Actually, last year we introduced this project to Donald Trump August 1st and Vladimir Putin September 3rd, and 21st of September we introduced this project to Narendra Modi, and also September 5th we introduced this project to Shinzo Abe. Why we are so much, introducing this project widely? Because Mongolia is sandwiched 2 giant countries, China and Russia. Between these 2 giant countries, geopolitically, we should be more secure and safe. That's why we already introduced this project last year, which is, we have Asian Supergrid, the renewable energy project, and then also, this project is firstly. It should be based on scientific good results, and second one is business model should be good, and third one is geopolitically it should be safe. That's why we are very carefully observing other big projects, and then we don't want to repeat their mistakes, and that's why we are just strongly securing our projects' geopolitical condition.
So I have a question. NASA just awarded 3 agreements.
I'm sorry, Sanjeev. I'm going to have to interrupt. We've reached our time limit. My apologies.
Chris, we actually have 30 seconds more.
Okay.
One quick one too.
Chiranjeev, we'll let Chiranjeev go and then go to the next person. Chiranjeev, continue, please.
Just really quickly, we've been involved in space for a while. NASA gave out 3 agreements recently for the Mars lander. Have you approached NASA? Because there's a lot of funding available for training and setting up bases, and they routinely have, RFPs for that.
Excuse me?
Yes on NASA?
Yeah, of course. Of course, the Dr. like Michael Mayer, we contacted already, and then the Rick Davis and lots of people is we connected, and then they are supporting this project. Yeah, very much.
Okay, one real quick one here. This is an important one. It was brought up the first question there by Dojo, expert over there. One of the things is I think this has a lot more opportunities for revenue than just the Mars end of it. There's everything from on land here. You can do testing for paint finishes, any type of cloth finishes, materials that go outdoors. This would be something at REI Co-op, North Face, paint manufacturing companies. This could be an unbelievable testing ground, not specifically just for Mars. But then I also see the SpaceX guys. I can see this thing all the way across the board, including ecotourism. So this could be an entire operation. There'd be unbelievable amounts of revenue sources here.
Okay, not really a question, more like a pitch, but thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. We're going to move on now. The next participant in our PitchFest is Steve Ardire, AI Startup Advisor, Force Multiplier, and Merchant of Light.
Thank you. Steve Ardire, a longtime advisor to software startups, and the last 7 years squarely in the AI space with numerous, anything from enterprise AI. Healthcare has really bubbled up, and this is where I decided to, rather than just being an advisor, jump in and be a co-founder in Signal Action AI. So as we know, AI in healthcare is enabling, much more sophisticated diagnosis and treatment in conjunction with doctors and physicians. The pace is accelerating, but not so much for mental health. And that really was a quandary of sorts, being that the amount of anxiety, depression, and resources, you see some of the metrics there in terms of just those 3, significant number of people, and now with these numbers were pre-COVID, by the way. It really begged the question that even though 90% of physicians are interacting with their patients, you pretty much still have a video chat session. So our contention is, why not append clinical clinician judgment with machine intelligence? It's being out there today, for customer support in many different verticals, and it again begs the question: why not healthcare? The funding in telehealth, there's significant funders. In fact, United Health is in advanced talk to acquire Able2 for $470 million. There's Ginger.io with $63 million in funding, Talkspace with $100 million in funding. And when you're looking at, even though there's some sophisticated, CBT models behind them, no one's really applying what we're looking to do to create a dynamic bidirectional patient interaction with semantic modeling. So rather than doing this on greenfield development, this is where I came in and said, well, let me get best of breed partners. So we had our own unified messaging with my co-founder, Adam Hochak, with TWEX, which is unified messaging, a conversational, very hot space right now in conversational AI. Symbol is a pretty well-funded startup in Seattle. And Moshe is providing the voice synthesis. Coco is an Israeli Tel Aviv startup for pre-built conversational components. And then we have CodeMaya, our development partner in Bina, to round things out. So basically how it works here is, is really getting the blend right in terms of the patient input with the clinician.
Thank you, Steve.
And
I'm afraid that's all the time that we have. Let's move on to judges' questions, please.
Okay.
Steve, I have a question. We're the fourth largest telehealth provider globally, so this is fascinating. And you're right, 50% of visits have increased to telehealth with COVID-19. Have you talked to any partners, but how would this help distinguish, let's say, a Teledocs or a Umedics or an eVisit from something you would do? And is there a reimbursement mechanism with it that it would help?
Right. So that's a great question. And that's part of our model, which I didn't get to, is we're looking to plug into healthcare VARs. An example is iTether. They already have done the relationships with the healthcare clinics, the systems, the payers, the insurers. So the effort here is to really to address get embedded there as a pure B2B, and then a pull through to the healthcare clinics, ACOs, and the payers and insurers. That's the model. So really it's a B2B with a pull through to B2C, and by doing it built on the existing best of breed or near best of breed partners, we can get once we have the development pathway from prototype through the MVP phases, we're really using the customer facing healthcare VAR as managing the relationships, and it relieves us from raising a tremendous amount of funding, also encumbered with doing all of this HIPAA compliance, the payer insurance.
So just so I'm clear, sorry, it's Brian Dojo here again. Just so I'm clear, nothing has anything been built yet which is usable, or is everything still in concept phase?
We're so in the development path, we'll have an alpha prototype. So we're the multimodal means it's a combination of voice. It's going to be primarily voice because it's voice driven, tonality. You can extract a lot of emotional engagement in order to really assess behavior. And really the nexus, Brian, is that's going to be the functional prototype that pretty much proves out the interleaving of the conversational, the emotional with the behavioral. So a lot of that's really the starting phase for that, and then we need to amplify it further in terms of really getting the mapping of the flow depicted here from 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, this is not replacing the clinician. This is clinician or caregiver in the loop, just like why I use augmented intelligence. It's AI working with machines.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, judges? Okay, then if that's it, we'll move on to the next. Thank you very much, Steve. We're going to move on now to Lene Martin, the CEO of the Coastline Consultancy Incorporated. Take it away, Lene.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. My name is Dr. Lena Martin. I'm the project lead of this initiative, as well as the CEO of Coastline Consultancy and the director of blockchain at Pepperdine, and I also teach blockchain applications and analytics. So as Draper mentioned earlier today, decentralization is everything. And this is a solution towards the mass adoption of blockchain to empower the world, starting with farmers and food supply chains. This is literally a platform for change, your pocket change. This is an opportunity for consumers to tip or give money to essential workers. And what's more essential than agriculture, especially right now? So here's a snapshot. AI blockchain for agriculture working with IoT may create an efficient and effective ecosystem, helping to ensure economic security for producers and health security for consumers, saving time, money, and lives. But what if we could support our farmers with our small change? What if we could help empower our supply chains with financial incentives and emerging technologies? The Supply Chain DApp is a decentralized application that does just this. It's an application on your phone where the convergence of AI, blockchain, IoT helps to not only minimize costs and waste, but offers real-time data, transparency and traceability, quality control, and safety. But the magic actually happens when the customers choose to appreciate their sustainable products and incentivize the farmers. What does this mean? I actually have a partnership with the patent owner of Text Visa. Let me walk you through this real quick. At the grocery store, someone may use this app, the Supply Chain app for agriculture, to scan with a QR code their produce. They are already set up with a digital wallet on their back end. Then the real magic happens, where through an account, they can tip any amount of money they like, and we use AI and blockchain for traceability, not only of the product, we can offer the history of that product, but we also can securely and efficiently start to store that money until it is time to then issue the Text Visa to the farmers. This allows farmers who don't have banks to participate. It also allows farmers to use the mesh system instead of the internet, should they be in remote areas where they don't have access. While decentralization is everything, we must also work within the regulations that we encounter, which means we're not ready for all cryptocurrencies mass adoption. So this is an easy way to get set up for when cryptocurrencies is allowed while remaining compliant. Again, the ask being 100K for 20% equity in agriculture or 200K and 10% equity in the supply chain. But there are many benefits, including revenue and access to the data, and it breaks down barriers. And this has applications to other essential worker and supply chains. So where small change adds up to big, let's supply chain.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the 4 minutes of judges' questions, please.
Dr. Martin, who are your current competitors in this space?
In the research that I've done, I actually found one in Holland who's actually attempting to tip their farmers. And as you can see, those who are trying it are using cryptocurrencies to do so, and very familiar with what the regulators say, and there's a lot of risk attached to that. And as you can see on the top of the screen here, these are those that are either in support of me or on my advisory board. So we have a very strong team that's very knowledgeable about compliance.
I may have missed it, and sorry to keep on getting to money here, but number one, it's really hard to build up the users on a marketplace and actually get folks. Number two, they're giving such tiny amounts of money. How can you possibly get enough users, and then how can you make enough money to sustain, you know, any of these individual apps? And am I right in guessing? Sorry, I don't ask 4 questions. Are these all different companies?
So it's consumers who decide to have a membership, let's say, with this DApp. And so they can at any time scan their QR code. Obviously, it has to be very easy for the end user to participate. And they can decide to just tip a couple cents, whatever, on whatever products are signed up. So, and that's stored on the back end in an account, which will then sort of sum up that amount and issue it to the farmers when enough money makes sense. And then there's fees attached on that end, so the consumers aren't paying the fees up front and the farmers aren't paying the fees to get access to it. So, and there's a lot wrapped up into this, like data, advertising opportunities. There's a lot of scaling factors to this as well. So there is enough opportunity to make money off of this platform.
Thank you.
Aileen, is there anything proprietary about your methodology or any way of protecting it or barriers to entry?
No barriers to entry. And as I mentioned, the key here that other companies don't have is access or the legal right to use the patent to send money via text, which is very important, obviously, for farmers that are either the unbanked or they don't have access to the internet. This has also use cases for, channels for crisis relief, where we can send anywhere in the world using a WhatsApp application, for example. Again, those who are sending money through text are not doing so legally and may not be able to continue to do so, but because of my partnership, I can allow this or enable this use case of it so that when we do get ready to welcome cryptocurrencies, it's an easy and smooth transition into that.
1 minute remaining.
Any other questions, judges? No one? Okay. Lena, thank you very much. We're going to move on to the next participant, and that's Hong Zhang, the Chief Operating Officer of Aegis Biodefense Incorporated. Take it away, Hong.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Hong Zhang. I'm the founder and COO of Aegis Biodefense. Our goal is to develop genetic medicine and bring pan-corona vaccine and cure to market within 12 months. Aegis is a spin-out from Entos Pharmaceuticals, a well-established biotech company. Our vaccine candidate is listed on WHO's website. We're seeking $6 million to take us through phase 1 clinical trial. We believe that we have the best technology on the planet to deliver genetic medicine. We call it the container. We also have the genetic medicine itself. We call it the cargo. As you can see, the cargo in the form of DNA plasmids is encapsulated by our fusogenics container. Then the container fuses with the human cell membrane and releases the genetic medicine inside the cell. The hardest part of this cutting-edge medicine is the delivery mechanism. Designed by nature, fusogenics was serendipitously discovered by our scientific founder, Roy Duncan, 10 years ago, and perfected and patented by our CEO, John Lewis, and his team. Our team of scientists, 20 of them, have completed several R&D steps since January. Our initial mice data demonstrated potent antibody response. The $6 million of funding will enable us to complete phase 1 clinical trial. How we are different from others is that we believe we will be the first to market with a pan-corona vaccine that confers protection against COVID, SARS, MERS, and other new threats. It's not just a COVID vaccine. The vaccine will be affordable and scalable to hundreds of millions of people. And we are the only technology platform that can produce both vaccines and cure. A vaccine for the healthy population, a cure for the very sick. We forecast that we will sell our vaccine at the $5 price point to 100 million people in
30 seconds remaining.
Aegis will become a $2 billion company then. We have a world-class team to get the job done. So please join us in our fight against this pandemic. And thank you all very much for your support. Special thanks to all the judges for your time and feedback later. And many thanks to the organizers for providing such a wonderful platform for sharing and learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Hong. We'll move to 4 minutes for judges' questions.
I have a question. Are there companies that have successfully developed both vaccines and cures before?
I'm not aware of you based on one platform anyway.
I have two questions. Can you get, one is, you said it was a spin out of one of the pharmaceutical companies. Was there a cost, or did they have any proprietary patents filed, or why did they give it to you? Secondly, have you applied for any IND for FDA approval? And the thing is, just as an advice, BARDA is accepting applications this week. The U.S. stimulus package is allocated $1.8 billion, so you may want to look at a BARDA application, and they're giving out those answers in 8 weeks. So.
Yes, to your first question, yes, absolutely. Ontos has a broad-based technology specialized with gene delivery, and it works for a variety of diseases. So we focus on infectious diseases, and we feel that the best way for us to succeed is to spin it off and build a world-class infectious disease team and leverage the platform that Ontos has already developed over the last 10 years. And we have the exclusive rights to that.
Hong, are you raising money?
Yes, we are.
Hong, in what is quickly becoming a very crowded field, what is your competitive or differentiating advantage?
We actually obviously are not the first out of the gate because we are actually going through very rigorous animal testing. We've probably done the most comprehensive animal testing that we've seen. Other startups who are already vaccine programs who are already in phase 1 or phase 2. But we want to finish the most thorough animal study that we can do, including the challenge model. And how we're different is that if you look at the vaccine landscape, there are different buckets of methodologies, right? One is using the attenuated virus. The other is to use nucleic acid-based approach like DNA, RNA, and then there's viral particles. So there are different approaches. We belong to the category of using the nucleic acid approach, which is RNA or DNA. In the DNA category, there are only 10 companies, and we are one of them. And how we are different is that the hardest part about DNA technology is actually in the delivery part of it. To get the DNA plasmid or medicine inside the cell in a non-toxic way and achieve the efficacy, we believe that we are the only
1 minute left.
We are the only one in the world who can do that.
Sorry, Brian Dojo here. So I have 3 investments in 3 companies which are either in the testing space, in the genomic space, or in the trying to find a vaccine space. And what we kind of all know in that space is that any smaller company who has a chance of beating one of the large giants is going to have to be massively subsidized. So we're always terribly skeptical, and also very skeptical when anybody says they're the only ones with any chance of doing it, because you're up against monsters while you're building this. So just clarify me if you can. I know you've been doing this for 10 years, but and there've been a few questions asked around it, but I don't understand what you've achieved in the last 10 years that you can bring to this. Could you speak to maybe something specific, either a drug that was brought to market or a vaccine that you brought out before, just something that aligns with the fact that you have a head start in this race?
Absolutely. So our secret sauce is the gene delivery platform called Fusogenics. It allows us to basically deliver genetic medicine inside a human cell. Most of the genetic medicine cannot be distributed or assimilated inside the cell very well. It remains outside of the cell, therefore not efficacious. So we have a way to deliver that. And that method was discovered 10 years ago in nature by our founder, and it's been perfected over the last 10 years. With that, that's really the hardest thing to do.
But that's not a vaccine, though. That's a delivery method.
Right. So the vaccine itself, there are many companies who have different versions of it, like a DNA plasmid or RNA or even peptides. So again, there are many companies doing that, but it's very hard to get it inside the cell. Because we have a head start in that.
I think that's our time. Thank you, Hong, and thank you, judges. We're going to move on to our next participant, which is Arif Virani, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Darwin AI Corporation. Take it away, Arif.
Actually, it's not Arif, but it's his stand-in who's joining us. If you could say hello.
Hey, Jamal here from Darwin AI.
Yes, it is Darwin AI on your ballot, but he is legally cleared to pitch.
Yep. All right, I'm just going to share my screen. All right. I wanted to take a quick second to think about the current environment today. You know, at a time like this, one of the things we've learned is that the current healthcare system, it just doesn't have the capacity to support us in times of crisis, especially around testing for COVID-19. You know, one of the things we've noticed is a lot of healthcare organizations are beginning to look at more AI-based approaches to automate testing and reduce resource constraints from doctors. But unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to build an AI that you can trust and that's suitable for most healthcare use cases. To address this problem, Darwin AI, our company, has developed a platform which can automatically build a high-performance AI model for any use case. It's actually currently being used by a lot of AI teams across enterprises and across industries like autonomous driving, drones in aerospace, robotic manufacturing, and most recently, we're starting to see a lot of interest from healthcare organizations to leverage our platform to develop this high-performance AI. To kind of bring it to life, this is one use case that healthcare companies are kind of looking at using our platform for to develop AI. This was the University of Waterloo, where they used our platform to develop an AI that could detect COVID-19 infections from chest X-rays, in hopes to reduce the resource constraints as well as the time it takes to manually look at X-ray images and make a diagnosis or test a patient. To be honest, what many people believe to take many months or even years, our platform made this possible in just over a few days. Over here, it says less than 7 days to make this. So they basically did this over a long weekend. The most interesting thing about this application, though, is it really helps you build an AI you can trust. So we can actually highlight the area of data, in this case, images, that indicated where the actual COVID-19 infection took place. What this helps do is reduces the time it takes a doctor or a radiologist to actually come to that conclusion themselves. A process that typically takes 20 minutes can now virtually be automated. And with this platform, you can look at a lot of different images and how the AI made detections of different images.
30 seconds remaining.
Really tell you why the AI made that decision, whether it was for the right reason or wrong reason. Interesting point here is the AIs that some companies were building were looking at text within images or the bed that patients were sitting on to make a detection. And this is a big fault with a lot of AI today, that you're not able to get visual cues into unless you're using something like our platform. You know, we're looking for funding of $1 million to help us kind of expand into
Thank you,
the healthcare
Jamil.
industry.
We'll move on to judges questioning for 4 minutes.
Sure.
When you said you had, oh, can you hear me there?
Yep.
Okay, when you said your technology has been used in other industries, is it proprietary technology, or is that the general use of technology that just you guys from a school system had used or something? Is that
Yeah, so our platform called GenSynth is the proprietary technology that AI teams within these enterprises and organizations are leveraging to build an AI algorithm for their use case.
is there a revenue source that comes off that?
Yeah, so we're actually monetizing the platform itself that develops the AI. So for these cases, it's the automotive brands, the aerospace companies, and most recently healthcare organizations. The AI teams within those organizations are purchasing our platform to automatically develop AI for a variety of the use cases that they're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
How does it differentiate from TensorFlow?
It's a great question. So we're actually built on top of TensorFlow. So for a lot of teams who are trying to develop neural networks within TensorFlow, our platform can actually take the reference network as well as training data, and based on that information, automatically generate a high performance version of that reference architecture. So you no longer have to do the training and the multiple iterations on your own. It's all automated within our platform. So it sits right on top of TensorFlow.
Okay.
And how much are you raising again, and at what valuation?
To date, disclosed amounts, we've raised a $3 million seed round in March of 2018. We've been generating revenue since. We don't have a disclosed post valuation, but you can make a guess based on the fact that it was a seed round.
And then how much are you raising now, though?
We're looking to raise just a bridge of $1 million to help us to help us expand into the healthcare vertical that is starting to look at moving into AI or adopting AI.
Besides funding right now, what is the biggest obstacle you have?
The biggest obstacle right now, it's a great question, is we're highly reliant on industries making an adoption of AI. So a lot of the industries that are, making, the forefront of their vertical, like some of the leading automotive brands and consumer electronics brands who are exploring AI, those have been great customers for us. Today, we're kind of relying on additional verticals also entering the space and adopting AI. It's a strong thesis we have, and we're seeing a lot of proof points that more and more verticals are turning to use AI, especially in big industries like healthcare. But that is one of the obstacles we face.
It's Brian here from Dojo again. Could you share your revenue, your monthly revenue, please? And then also tell us, are you an AI technology, or are you a dev shop for AI distribution?
So for the first question, we approached 7 figures in bookings last year. And we're looking at low millions of revenue this year. Sorry, what was the second question you had?
Are you a dev shop for AI, or do you actually have one specific AI technology that just is used in multiple assets?
Good question. It's a subscription to our software that we license out, and the software is the AI development platform that the teams are using itself.
Cool.
And Jamil, are you making any money on the consulting side also? Is that an additional revenue stream?
We're not doing consulting right now. Our platform is completely productized. Yeah, completely productized, and it's available as a software license that you can download and install.
Anyone else? I think we're at our time anyway. Thank you, Jamil.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to Dawson Lucier, the founder of Pulse Life Saving. Take it away, Dawson.
Thanks, Chris. I'm just going to share my screen here. All right. Imagine if someone right in front of you clutched their chest and fell to the ground. What would you do? Being prepared to respond in an emergency could mean the difference between life and death. Traditionally, this knowledge is taught through in-person classes. And rightfully so, as many first aid techniques are physical in nature. Pulse has delivered hundreds of these in-class trainings to date. In urban areas, finding a training program that teaches the physical skills of first aid, like CPR or obstructed airway procedures, is relatively simple. There's no shortage of access, but for remotely located communities or rural settings, there is a serious lack of course opportunities. Studies conducted by the Red Cross and ILCOR confirm this knowledge gap. But even for urban folks, high-quality, high-fidelity training that learners require in order to appropriately respond when that person clutches their chest and collapses isn't realistic in a long, boring classroom session with little learner engagement or interaction. Pulse Lifesaving is working on a solution to all of these problems. A fully accredited first aid course remotely delivered using augmented reality headsets. First aid and CPR are inherently physical skills, which is why traditionally an instructor is required on site to evaluate and certify candidates. Because of this requirement, fully online or e-learning courses are not allowed in the industry. However, with recent progress in augmented reality, remote first aid training is now possible. Augmented reality headsets allow users to merge the real and the virtual world, where digital visualizations can be manipulated and physically interacted with. This means actually compressing a simulated chest or actually opening a simulated airway, all the while receiving real-time audio and visual feedback via the headset. And this is exactly how Pulse is recreating physical first aid training using augmented reality. Pulse is already operating as a profitable business too. Revenue generated from our current in-class courses is funding our AR development. We are already piloting our current prototype in our existing courses to solicit feedback and further refine the product. Ultimately, our end goal is to sign a B2B licensing agreement for this application with one of the big guys like the Red Cross or the Heart and Stroke Foundation. Until then, Pulse will continue offering its own training under our existing affiliate licensing agreement using an established and accredited curriculum. Pulse is a tech startup building
30
educational
seconds left.
content for the future. My name is Dawson, and our growing team currently consists of myself and 4 AR developers. What we need now is funding to purchase augmented reality headsets and funding to grow our team of animators, 3D modelers, and Unity developers who can help us finish this digital course. If you or someone you know has connections or access to AR headset hardware or AR development networks, Pulse is looking to partner with the folks who can help us take this training to the next level. One day you might be there when that person clutches their chest and falls to the ground.
Thank you, Dawson. Let's move on to our judges' questions. We have 4 minutes.
So it's Chernji, being a physician, it's fascinating. How many people have gone through your program and have they been certified? Because, using augmented reality, there's always been questions about certification.
For sure. So we've done approximately 300 businesses around the GTA and the Toronto area over the last year. None have yet been fully certified using augmented reality, but we have piloted the technology and the prototype that we have in all 300 of those last year.
Can you make the testing up for that and help along move this technology into maybe other areas like emergency services, like the paramedics or the people that pick up injured individuals and take them elsewhere?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of big players right now working on the healthcare industry as a whole and medical education. This niche here with first aid and sort of like frontline entry emergency care is the niche that we're after here. But absolutely, there's more opportunities for this.
And so the 100,000, you'll use that for the headsets?
Correct. Headsets, and then also to onboard some additional 3D modeling talent and animation. Right now, we're a pretty small team based out of an incubator in Canada, and we're really at that seed stage looking to grow our team.
Okay, but I would assume you would run through that quite quickly. So then what would you need after that?
So ultimately, our goal is to sign a licensing agreement with one of the big distributors in the industry so that we're not trying to, encroach with our own proprietary curriculum, but also instead to license something like the Red Cross's curriculum and deliver their course. So we'd be looking to sign an agreement to license this and deliver it through this technology with an existing player in the industry.
And any indication? Have you talked to them? What's the reaction?
Yeah, so we're right now, the curriculum that we do use is an accredited curriculum, and it's through something called the Life Saving Society, which is a Commonwealth organization that deals with first aid and lifeguard training. And they're fully supportive of us developing this out. Their ability to fund something like this is not, they're not one of the biggest players in the industry. Something like the Red Cross would be our next target.
Dawson, what kind of scale can you achieve before a planned exit along the lines that you just described?
For sure. So our model is limited by the fact that we will have to rent out headsets to businesses and to communities in the interim. it's not unrealistic to think that these devices are going to start showing up in workplaces and communities, in the next several years. So our scaling potential will be limited by the capital that we can invest in physical assets and physical hardware, and repairing and continuing to maintain that hardware.
But you guys can leverage the
minute
existing
remaining.
clientele you have, right?
Say that again, sorry?
You guys can leverage the existing clients that you already have with your business already. So you're already starting with a good base, correct?
Exactly. We have that, I guess, guinea pig testing pilot round that we can do with our existing clients, and they're really keen to adopt something like this and give us great feedback so far.
I think it's a great idea for businesses.
30 seconds left.
Anyone else have one final question? Okay, Dawson, thank you very much. We're going to move on now to our next participant in this Pitch Fest. It's Dale Simmons, the Chief Operating Officer of Park Avenue Finance. Take it away, Dale, please.
I just want to correct, we had a name change. It's Dale St. Clair.
Understood. Dale St. Clair, you have the floor. Molly, do we have Dale?
I'm here. Thank you, Molly, and thank you, Chris. I apologize for the seconds there. Very excited to be here, and I'm Dale St. Clair, CIO, Park Avenue Finance. We are a financial innovation company, and we have designed Innovation Trust Bank International, the first trust bank. It's an architectural design that has achieved success in a banking license. We can scale climate change. We also can help achieve economic diversity by empowering individuals without access to capital, providing access to the federal liquidity of the Federal Reserve across the world in select regions of Africa, Asia, Australia, North America, and Europe through our global branch banking network. We are in a Series A capital raise of 10 to 15 million. Sources and uses are on slide 5. We're also in a $2 million bridge financing round. While we were designing ITBI, we are also designing capital asset optimization program, which is designed to eliminate federal, state, and local taxes for businesses and individuals. We've been executing on this program for 18 months. It carries should-level opinions from 4 top-tier law firms and tax insurance, the first ever tax solution with tax insurance from carriers such as AXA and Swiss Re. The $2 million of anything in the NewCo is up to the taxpayer. So on a $10 million capital gain at 30% tax bracket, $2 million as a $3 million, pardon me, would be paid in taxes, or the taxpayer can choose to put $2 million in a NewCo and invest in any thing that they want, including sources for good. $2 million in NewCo, $1 million to cover the cost of implementing the NewCo. From the where we sit in Innovation Trust Bank International, we have 2 platforms, a digital asset banking platform and a financial engineering platform. The digital asset platform includes and solves for lending and fiat funds accounting. It solves for the current issue and lending and custody. It also can drive climate.
30 seconds remaining.
It also can drive climate finance. Over 1% of credit exists now in climate bonds. In the bank platform, we can put Red Plus credits at 20 basis points, buy the credits at 20 basis points, borrow at 1% at the AAA money market rates, earn the spread while saving the rainforest. We also have a product for the cannabis bank where we solve the—
3 minutes have passed.
Thank you, Dale. We'll move on to our judges' questions, and we have 4 minutes. Judges?
So one question, how do you make your spread on the climate bonds? And I'm trying to understand a little bit about the bank. Is there a license or just a little bit about what you're doing? I'm just trying to
We have a
understand.
bank license. It took 2 years to get a bank license. The bank license is under the Act 273 in Puerto Rico. What's different about Innovation Trust Bank is that no other institution has a bank license for the financial engineering platform as well as the digital assets platform. And no other institutions have the global capability that we have designed and have approval from on our bank license. That was your first question. I apologize, I forgot the second one.
No, that's really helpful. I was just saying on the climate bond, how do you make the spread?
We can buy niche assets that traditional banks cannot because we're not regulated by the FDIC or the Federal Reserve. Niche assets where climate bonds fall into, I gave an example of Red Plus credits at 20. There's paper out there for 25 or 30. We can buy the paper and we can put that on the bank balance sheet and we can borrow at money market rates and earn the spread. The financial engineering platform will drive the revenues of the bank more so than the digital asset piece, which is really client services to the digital assets market.
It sounds like you're setting yourself up almost as a global financial institution. Are there certain advantages to being in Puerto Rico?
The advantage of being in Puerto Rico is getting the license. And yes, we are. The advantage is also in Puerto Rico. It's the only domicile where we can have and get the power of the Federal Reserve, not Gibraltar, not Malta, not all these other jurisdictions. The Federal Reserve, because of the territory in the US, is the benefit of being in Puerto Rico. The global branching capability in our license allows us to go all over the world with the power of the Fed.
Dale, can you talk a bit about your customer acquisition model? So you're targeting the unbanked, is that correct?
We're not only targeting the unbanked. I only emphasized certain aspects, honestly. That is the capital partners and we and us and the team will obviously determine the targets. In answer to your question, our customers, we're still organizing. I mean, we have a matrix of customers. We haven't broken ground yet. But in terms of the unbanked, that's a very large, that's all over the world. We have domiciles that we ourselves have done without a capital partner. So there's just, is it Europe? Is it Africa? Is it Asia?
Hey, Dale, question for you on the pricing of those bonds. What rating agencies are handling those? Are the standard bond rating agencies, or are there others for climate bonds?
The standard bond rate agencies are handling them. I mean, there's standard, there's, obviously Moody's and S&P, and then there's, the sort of the second tier bond rating agencies. We can, because of our bank license and because of our background as bankers, we can decide what to put on our bank balance sheet, but that diligence is going to not just be on the rating agencies. Obviously, a lot of niche, a lot of private placements will be hands-on.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dale, I got a question here from London. As you're looking at a global architecture, I'm just wanting to understand a little bit more about your penetration market to key markets internationally. Are there any sort of countries you want to target? And how are you?
And thank you, judges. We're going to move on to our next participant, Christoph Despiegler. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Who's the CEO of Threefold Network. Christoph, take it away.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, but I cannot share. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christoph. I'm the CEO of a movement which is building a new internet. We urgently need a new internet because the current one is very broken. We have already more than $40 million invested in this project. And what is really nice to know is that we have already more capacity online than the sum of all the blockchain projects together. We have more than 15,000 CPU cores live and 40 million of capacity, which is really a lot. So why do we do this? We believe that the new internet needs three new properties. One is it needs to have more autonomy, which means better data sovereignty for the people and even the countries involved. Also, there needs to be more equality. Today, more than 50% of the people in the world do not have equal access to information, education, and for sure an internet. Not only that, the current internet is using more than 10% of the world electricity resources, and the internet needs to grow a couple of times. This needs to change. Our technology allows an internet to be built without having to build data centers, and we can save more than 99% of energy. We have a plan. Our plan is over the next 2 years to be in 100 countries, 10,000 locations, and have more than 10 million users. For this, we are seeking $20 million investment. We have a strong history, and we have more than 80 people in our team coming from 14 countries. Together with our team, we have realized more than $500 million exits over the last 15 years. I'm very proud to work together with these people because some of them I'm working with for more than 20 years, and we came a long end. Today on the internet, we exist more than 100 times. And this is not good for the planet and for us. We believe in a new internet where we are the center of our digital life. And all of the experiences need to be positioned around us rather than us being a product of a lot of big companies. With $20 million US, we can enable the life of more than 10 million people, which would completely change the way how we interact with each other and would restore balance in the digital world. Imagine the value creation and how this would be good for the person, the planet, and the investor. Is this too ambitious? We don't think so. We already have a lot done. We have the capacity layer, technology, partners. We even have the first experiences done. We have an alternative to Zoom, online office, Dropbox, mail, and so on. So a lot actually has been done to make this possible. Together with you, we can change the way how the internet looks on a global basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christoph. Judges, we have 4 minutes for questions.
What's the business model, Christoph? How are you going to make money there?
Yeah, our technology company does OEMs together with big partners like HPE, Solidaridad, and others. And we also get 10% revenue fee from everything happening on this new internet from a capacity perspective. If you don't want to be a product, people need to pay a little bit per month to basically have access to all of these services. And that way we can sustain ourselves.
Christoph, can you explain that 3-bot virtual twin?
Sure. I will probably need more time than that, but
I mean, just basically, is that a proprietary technology?
Yeah, yes. Everything we built from scratch. We had to build a new operating system, everything. And that was a very big undertaking. It took more than 25 years to build this. But basically, this little bot, is your complete digital twin, and it has your full digital life. It can be a petabyte big, or it can be like 10 megabyte big. And it's not, we use a lot of blockchain technologies, but blockchains by itself is not good enough. So you have to think really a couple of revolutions further than that.
Okay, thank you.
Christoph, what's your customer acquisition strategy? I don't understand, like, how do you compete against Google and all these other players that have applications, and how are you going to get users?
Well, first of all, we've done this a couple of times already. This is like the 6th or 7th time we're building out global clouds. Our cost price for our, what we call farmers, is like 10 times less than anything else out there because of our technology. And we have 2 layers. One layer is the capacity layer, where basically anyone from the existing IT industry can move their workloads on top of our grids, and it gives them numerous benefits. Price is one, of course, but also locality, performance, and any of those. And we are compatible with the existing world, so it's very easy for them to shift. The other thing is big communities. We have some huge communities looking at us to move over and basically start a new digital life. And that way, through new innovative experiences, people can get a home onto this new internet. And these 2 things can drive each other.
Christoph, you project some value creation numbers per user, I think on a previous screen. What valuations could that translate into in, say, 5 years?
Well, we believe that, and of course it sounds ambitious and maybe even arrogant, but we are shooting ourselves to be worth more than $1 billion in a couple of years from now. My last company was sold for more than 300 million, and it had only a very small fraction technology-wise of what we have today. And of course, we go for a global play, which means that we do good for the planet first. That's the first thing which comes to mind. But by doing so and enabling millions of people, which all pay a little fraction per month or a little amount per month, you still end up with huge revenue numbers.
1 minute left for questions.
Hi, Christoph. Under this new model, how do you imagine governance to work if that applies in this case?
Okay, very good question. Actually, we're not trying to be the rebels, which we aren't. We're working together with countries. We are talking with some of them already to help them to build the new internet locally. And for that, our software has unique capabilities to basically allow governments and people still have their own data sovereignty and make sure that our life is protected, but in a nice way, not in a way that we are being abused, like sometimes is the case today. And we have quite some countries really looking into this today because they're looking for something they can deploy locally, which would give them that freedom back.
Yeah, it's always interesting. I think when you have a lot of folks who are investors on a call like this and we're watching you, we're thinking to ourselves, would we change, right? And whenever someone's doing tremendous change, and like Google is the big baddie, and like kind of Animal Farm springs to mind, right? In the end of the day, it's hard for us to imagine that things will change massively. It seems like your play.
I'm sorry, that's our time. We're going to have to move on. Christoph, thank you very much. And now we're moving on to Heather Smith, who's the Chief Executive Officer at Storyfile. Heather, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Molly and Yannicka, for putting this on today, and to all the judges. Make it large. No. Let's view. Full screen mode. Here we go. Okay, hi. All right. Welcome to Storyfile. Storyfile is the world's first conversational platform. Storyfile's AI ecosystem, Conversa, will change forever the way that we engage and with our present and our past. Just as photos, then video, then social media changed how we document our lives, Storyfile, videos that talk back, it's going to change the way we remember loved ones, learn from accomplished people, engage with historical figures, and interact with each other, the real you, without having to be present. Storyfile is creating a new form of archive that will forever share our experiences with being human, the good and the bad. That will be built.
I cannot see your slides. Do you want your slides to move?
Oh, okay. There we go. That's fine. Storyfile is creating a new form of archive that will forever share our experiences with being human, the good and the bad. They'll be built upon generation after generation. Imagine authentic human stories for everyone to share and to learn from that are truly interactive and led by your own curiosity. With the Storyfile mobile app, everyone, everywhere will easily be able to create their own Storyfile. We will be able to look into the eyes of family members, political figures, adventurers, change makers, and talk to them, ask them questions about their lives. Eye contact and verbal intonation, body language, they're all part of how we communicate and how we learn from one another. Storyfile captures it all authentically. A few examples of interested communities that would like to use the Storyfile platform.
30 seconds remaining.
To get out their message or communicate with their communities internally and get it out to the world are, you can imagine, sexual assault victims, historical figures of World War II veterans or Vietnam veterans, people that are diagnosed with certain diseases, LGBT community with It Gets Better. Whether you're a business, a dating app, or an online education platform, a company wants to preserve its institutional memory or help train its millions of employees.
3 minutes.
Thank you, Heather. Judges, we have 4 minutes for questions.
Real quick question, Heather. Is this based on research from USC? Is this a license from the research there? Because they did the SHOA project, and so it's very similar.
That was my project, actually.
Okay, great. So this is a license then from USC?
No, we had to create we had to start from the ground up with the technology. One of the issues was that technology was not mobile native and it wasn't automated in any way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we had to start over, and we built it from the ground up.
Great.
Hey, Heather, a couple questions for you. So, I mean, what does it do? It's recording a video and people talking. So, that's obviously being done. What's unique about that? And the second thing is, then you're saying it'll be stored forever, but forever is a long time. So how is it going to get paid for forever?
Yeah, we're starting with a freemium model, and then people would pay whether or not they wanted to do story files and they wanted to update their story files on occasion, or they want to do family story files. Those will be subscription based. And then we're doing a payout model where you can film a relative of yours or a loved one and ask them 500, 600 questions, whatever you want. And that will be stored for you and your family forever. And that would just be a one-time payout for that.
Heather, how will you use the 100,000?
This 100,000, in particular, we'd like to start Storyfile for Good, actually, and we've been approached by a lot of different organizations that don't necessarily have the funding to do story files or create story files on their own. So we'd have to train them to do them. And I don't know if you all remember, there was a high school student that was interviewing one World War II veteran a day and doing a narrative form. That young man would like to continue that project. Unfortunately, he's not able to, but he would like to open it up and crowdsource it so that everybody in the country or in the world can go to their neighbor or their loved one and film themselves and be part of his small archive. So
is this designed to be a standalone company, or could this be something that could plug into another company? Question number one. And then question number two, wouldn't this be also good for something like 23andMe and Ancestry.com?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. We're looking into partnering our licensing. What we have is our platform, our AI ecosystem that we've created is called Conversa. And Conversa is basically our software that any company can license on their own. They can plug it into, let's say, a dating app, or let's say a company wants to, like Paramount Studios wants to produce their own junkets for press junkets or fan engagement for their new movies that they're creating. They would be able to use the Conversa platform to create their own content. So it's all about conversational videos that talk back.
Thank you.
Any other questions, judges? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you.
We're moving on now to Lorana Scarpioni, who's the CEO of Believe. Take it away, Lorana.
Hey, thank you so much. So let's do it. When the world hits hard on unemployment and everything stops and people start to prepare for an economic recession, it's easy to see scarcity and lack of hope. But as the CEO of Believe, I also see a powerful movement of humans coming together, using their time as a currency for abundance and reciprocity. Believe is the world's largest time bank and a community of people using time as a currency to receive services and share experiences without any money involved. Doesn't matter if you are unemployed or if you don't have enough to live, because there you have value. Let me show you how Believe works. There you can offer, for example, 1 hour of Spanish lessons, and for each you receive a time credit of 1 hour. And then you can exchange this credit for any activity available in the community, like someone to fix your computer, take care of a child, or teach you how to meditate or take care of your anxiety during these times. With more than 200,000 organic users, Believe reach a huge impact into people's lives by showing them how they can live a complementary economy and find value, start businesses using this new currency that in fact is abundant and available to each human being equally with a deposit of 24 hours. With recognitions from international media, prizes like MIT Technology Review, we reach a revenue of $180,000 US with a business model that really connects employees inside companies that want to promote more knowledge sharing. So let's say that you have 5,000 people that work for your company and you want a currency that can express reciprocity. So we create a white label model where your employees can share knowledge with each other, and you start getting data about what are the main talents and needs of your employees. With that in mind, we are also launching sponsored communities for brands that want to support niches of different types of organizations that want to trade time. And more importantly, a premium membership for the high users who use our platform, like video calls and
30 seconds remaining.
To make all this happen, we have a team of believers who work from all around the world for more than 2 years remotely and are very productive these days. And we are also, after receiving $1 million investment from Salesforce Ventures, we are bridging our seed round of $2.2 million in investment to invest in sales and deploy our sales playbook for the US market, partnerships, invest in machine learning for the matchmaking system, in
3 minutes
for blockchain.
Laurana, thank you. We're going to move on now to the 4 minutes for judges' questions.
This looks great, especially with the coming out the backside of the pandemic. People think the pandemic is going to go away real quick, but it's actually going to be around for a couple of years probably. And not just and time banking seems like a really positive thing. And then on the back of that, we have robotics coming in and artificial intelligence knocking people out of their normal work. So I'm excited about what you're doing here.
Thank you.
Hey, Lorena, do you see more revenue from businesses? Well, I guess in the future, not just now, or consumers? Well, actually, what is the consumer revenue model would be the question.
Yeah, so right now we have around $7,000 on recurrent revenue, $7,000 from clients that we have no churn with the COVID. But what we are seeing, and it's very exciting, is that a lot of the sales pipeline we had, we start offering 2 months for free for the companies, and they are accepting like to try for free because all the employees are at home and they are like sometimes have money to make events or make people feel connected, and they see the mental health and human connection as a way to do that via time banking from far. So it's a way to connect employees even from far.
Sure. No, I understand that. I guess my question is, do you see a revenue path more from business, or do you see it more from consumer or advertising, or what's going to be the greater path of revenue for you?
Okay. So the one that we already work on is B2B, but the premium membership is one of the biggest business models we have. Now we close a big partnership with a Brazilian bank, so our user base is going from 200,000 users to 1 million users. And with that, we have a few features that we want to put as a premium membership for the users, and we have these as a revenue. The other thing is that the user also on the premium membership, he can export his reputation, because this is very powerful. Some users, they are have very high reputation on time banking, but maybe in the money economy, they never had like reviews and to show that their services are good. So we see people wanting to pay for premium fees and also to export their reputations to other platforms as a B2C business model.
Thank you.
Hey, Lorena, how do you adjust for different values of individuals on the hours? So in other words, if somebody is like a doctor and he has some hours available versus somebody that's just like a janitor, I know you probably get these kind of questions, but how do you make the adjustment in hourlies?
Yeah, that's a great question because the time banks, the idea as the money, the hour is equal, but we have a score of users that you can assess people with higher score as yours. So let's say you spend a lot of time studying to get a high salary.
1 minute remaining.
And then you get a high salary to pay for a high chef, for the hour of the chef. So depending on your performance, you are matched with people with a high rate, and that's the way. We don't negotiate on the hour value, but we match you with people that are as good as you.
Okay, thank you. That's really good. Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
Reina, do you have plans to maybe translate the app and go into other countries?
Yes, we have English, Spanish, and Portuguese right now, but we are planning, already talking with some partners in Nigeria, Turkey, and also European countries.
Now, Lorena, I'm sure you've already seen this and looked at it before, but there was Ithaca hours. It was $1. It was like trading. You know all about that, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
The barter alternate currency kind of thing.
Yes, a big mentor of us is the founder of Time Bank USA, Edgar
We
Kahn.
reached 4 minutes.
Thank you, Lorana, and thank you, judges. We're going to move on now to Bremley Lingdo, who's the Chief Sustainability Officer at Baby Rage. Bremley, take it away.
Catherine, do we have Bremley here with us? I thought, yes, he is
I see
here.
him in the participants. So
Bremley, you've got your camera off, but your microphone on. Why don't we advance to the other person? Bremley, we'll come back. We'll try and help you behind the scenes with your technology. Everybody, you're doing a great job. This is amazing. Chris, call the next person, please.
Fair enough. We'll skip over Bremley for now and move on to Sutapa Biswas, who's the Senior Project Officer for TSI, which is Technology for Social Impact. Take it away, Sutapa.
Hello, everyone. This is Shrutapa Biswas from Technology for Social Impact, a social business based in Bangladesh. So today I'm going to talk about the solution we developed to address maternal and neonatal death. It is an issue that still remains at large in many parts of the world. Let's look some data points. Every day, 1,000 women die from pregnancy-related issue. 2 out of 5 children die during first month of their life. Nearly 4 million premature deaths occur annually from indoor air pollution. According to the World Health Organization, 94% of all these maternal deaths occur in low and lower middle countries due to lack of basic information. So it is avoidable if the right measures are taken. So we have come up with a solution. We have developed a device named Coil. It is a maternal wellness bangle that speaks out preloaded audio messages twice in a week, containing wellness advice to the pregnant and new mother. It also has the capability to detecting the presence and level of air pollution, particularly carbon monoxide. So it gives out alarm when the level of carbon monoxide exceeds the acceptable range. Lots of innovation has gone into the creating to the Coil bangle. So it has flexible PCB designed fit into a tiny curved enclosure, a custom designed curved battery embedded speaker. So it has also operate with without connectivity, and the battery lasts for 10 months. So basically it looks very simple, but it is very complex to make it. The very beautiful design is made according to the local context of Bangladesh, so women are comfortable to wearing it. A localized audio version is made for the deployment. So here is some example. A friend is talking with the mother about the messages.
30 seconds remains.
So it also logs the data, so we can track the behavioral changes, so that women are working according to the message or not. So till date, we have deployed in Bangladesh and India. Our strategy is to start small, but then scale through partnership with government and NGOs. For the next pilot deployment, with Tata Trust, we are requesting for US $100K.
That's the time. That's all the time we have. Sutapa, thank you. We're going to move to the 4 minutes for judges' question.
So how do you determine with the bracelet any improvements of health? Is there a measure?
Because our bracelet is containing preloaded messages, audio messages, according to the women's Olympic date, we configure with the app, and then it disseminates messages according to the pregnancy period. So it can help to the mother what to do, what not to do in the pregnancy period.
Is it just around CO2 or does it do other things? And how much does it cost?
Okay, yes, we have a portal, so data are stored there, and we have an app. So connectivity is there with the Bengal is connected with the app, and the manufacturing cost is now $61.
This seems like it's a good sort of nonprofit versus a commercial entity, because you're looks like for NGO type funding anyway. So are you looking to do a return, or do you want to sort of operate as an NGO or a nonprofit?
Yes, we are looking for 100K, and we build 1,000 Bengal for our next pilot, and we will sell that to the Tata Trust and get some money. And according to the law of social business, we will reinvest the money to our different projects.
But back to the question, it's prenatal, right? So you're trying to create more healthy prenatal environment, but according to this, all you're tracking is CO2 levels. Are you tracking other things?
Currently, we are tracking the CO levels and the message, whether the message is listened to the mothers or not, that data.
Okay.
Any other questions, judges?
I'm just thinking, Sutapa, that you probably have the ability to mine the data, like the big data at some point.
Yes, we have the plan that we can earn revenue through that data also.
Great.
So are these bracelets then communicating back? I guess if they're out in rural areas, how are you regathering the data?
Yes, we have a cloud where all the data are stored, because when women is using the Bengal, by month by month, the app is connected with the Bengal and loaded the data to the cloud.
But aren't many of these folks in very rural areas that don't have connectivity, or is there
that's why
Wi-Fi
we
and
are
cellular
partnering
everywhere?
with NGOs. That's why we are partnering with NGOs, that those who have lots of health workers, to help us to do that.
Okay.
40 seconds remains of questions.
Just a real quick one here. I'm looking at your chart here, and it says you're involved with Tata. But isn't this something that Tata could just underwrite themselves because of the size and scope of the organization?
Sorry?
Okay, you're involved with Tata Corporation. Isn't this something that
Yes.
they could easily do to help you? Or what's your involvement with them actually?
Tata Trust is buy 100 Bengals for us. They are piloting, and they have in partnership with Cooking Alliance, Clean Cooking Alliance. So they are basically gathering the data of CO alerts.
4 minutes.
Thank you, Sutapa, and thank you, judges. Molly, are we going to move back to Bremley, or are we moving forward?
Bremley is in a remote part of India, and he got locked out. He'll be back in a moment. But at this point, I'd like to ask what we normally do is a summary from the judges if they have kind of an overarching summary.
Molly, you have one more to go.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yes, Molly, we do have one more that we can go to, the last one on the list.
We'll see if Bremley's back, and then we'll do a quick judge summary if time remains.
The next participant is R. Scott Solandi DeFore, who's the founder of Liquistar. Scott, take it away.
Hey, how's it going? Sharing my screen now. Can everyone see my screen? Great. So, hi, I'm Scott. I'm the CEO and founder of Liquistar. So what is Liquistar? Liquistar is the Uber or Uber Eats for electricity. We use container-based charging stations, IoT-connected batteries, and people instead of wires to distribute electricity. So what's the problem that we're trying to solve? Right now in the world, 1.1 billion people don't have access to electricity, and over 600 million of them use dirty kerosene for their basic energy and lighting needs. We believe that energy is actually the key to enabling all of the other SDGs, because everything from food, water, healthcare, and education can all be greatly enhanced by access to electricity. So we really wanted to understand why that problem exists. And what we found was that it's actually a cost thing, because in developing countries, it costs as much as $150 per meter to build overhead wires. And what that means is that people in these countries spend 3 to 5 times as much on their electricity as we do in the US. And it also means that they use a ton of dirty, polluting diesel generators. So in Nigeria, there are more of those than there are people in Australia. So what's our solution? Our solution is a platform that manages the IoT connected hardware made by our partners and the human operations, all in a text message-based consumer applications to create a decentralized autonomous utility. It's built on 4 years of blockchain IoT research and uses the decentralized digital identity framework of our sister company, BlockPass. So what's the impact? In the developed world, after disasters, we're actually working with a partner here in Australia to deploy this solution to help power 20 households with essential devices, but our main focus is on the developing world, where each deployment of our platform will give 120 households access to electricity for 10 years, create 3 to 5 jobs, and reduce CO2 emissions by 28,000 pounds per year. But most importantly, we are a for-profit business, and based on our surveys and initial pilots, we actually estimate that each waypoint will generate between $1,000 and $2,000 per month over its lifespan. So how can we help? Actually, what
30 seconds remaining.
Great. Actually, what we realized is that, right now our solution is needed because everyone is putting in donations, but no one's thinking about what happens after. So we have a GoFundMe going for that. And then we're looking for $500 million in investment. And I think the difference here is that every single investment that we get will go to impact. So whether or not we succeed or fail, your investment will be giving people electricity for the next 10 years. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott. We'll move on now to our 4 minutes for judges' questions.
Yeah, well, Scott, what are you actually charging? Like, how do I interact with what you guys are doing as an energy consumer?
Correct. So we're charging IoT connected batteries that range from 10,000 milliamp hours all the way up to 2 kilowatt hours. The 2 kilowatt hour batteries are actually made from recycled lithium ion cells. And so, yeah, our customers come to the charging station, they take the battery home, they use it to power, as we've seen in our pilots, lights, cell phones, laptops, fans, radios, and TVs. Also looking to add mini fridges and those types of things. And actually in Benin, we have a government pilot where they want us to add an additional battery size to power an electric motorcycle taxi service to replace the dirty diesel sort of motorcycle taxis they currently have.
Is it all solar charging?
As of right now, yes, but the station can also plug into the grid to sort of, get just extra juice. But yes, it's mostly solar charging.
And you have some MVPs, Scott, or you're in production here with how many sites?
Yeah, that's correct. So we started with 2 small nano pilots in Nigeria just to really get the UI UX down, get out, some of the bugs, those types of things. So those actually started at the beginning of this year. As I mentioned, we have the Benin grant, which we'll be deploying in August. And actually yesterday we got accepted into one program in Kenya to use our solution to help urban farmers get electrification. So right now, specifically with the funding, what we're looking to do is actually test the full implementation of our vision. We've kind of done the startup thing and put together a lot of different off-the-shelf solutions just to really make sure there's demand for our larger vision.
Hey, Scott, I'm sorry if I missed this in your presentation, but what are the unit economics again for each of these, and what's the ROI you expect on the waypoint?
Yeah, so the waypoint, we're making an assumption, not to get into too much of the details, but we're making an assumption that each waypoint will have 120 batteries, and at any one point in time, a maximum of 70% of those batteries will be rented. And based on our surveys and what people are currently paying, especially in Nigeria, we estimate that each waypoint generate $1,000 to $2,000 per month. And each deployment, the initial cost upfront is $88,000 with between $300 and $500 a month of sort of just operational costs.
Scott, I was just wondering, have you looked at development banking funding, such as through the African Development Bank and at the local level?
We have not looked carefully at that because we're just, to be honest, right now we're coming out of stealth mode to respond to the current crisis in
Scott,
Lagos.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Thank you very much, Scott, and thank you, judges. We're gonna, Molly, do we have Bremley available, or are we done?
We do have Bremley. He has very limited bandwidth. So Bremley, please unmute yourself and bring your camera on and just tell us what you're doing. We're all here for you. We understand the situation with the bandwidth, but this is at least your opportunity to speak to everyone. You are on mute.
Can you start the camera?
Yes, please start the camera and unmute yourself, please.
I can't start the camera. It's not working.
Okay, well, that's okay. We see your name and we recognize your voice. So tell us. We will give you a lot of sympathy. Believe me. Tell us what you're doing, Bremley. You are a humanitarian extraordinary.
I'm so sorry. I'm stuck in Northeast India. The thunder and lightning just knocked down the internet. I can't even load the slides. But hello, everyone. Greetings from Northeast India. I'm really honored to be here on behalf of everyone I've worked with for over 25 years. The current pandemic has really proven just how fragile we are as a species when one thing falls out of balance. So the natural world is globally interconnected with a trickle-down effect causing far-reaching consequences and unforeseen damage. We are seeking $4.75 million for EcoUniverse, an educational game that engages, entertains, and uplifts our youth on sustainability with non-stop thrills. Well, there are 2 billion gamers worldwide. We will use the funds to develop EcoUniverse. We will launch EcoUniverse on the upcoming Global Youth Service Day, which I started in 2000 and mobilized millions of young people on a single day before social media. We seek to unite global leaders and encourage nonprofits to distribute our game, giving them a proportion of the proceeds. EcoUniverse combines the work of Baby Rage, a world-class advisor, my nonprofit, Worldview Impact Foundation, and Eco-Friend World, to impart knowledge based on scientific data to enable players to implement change from the safety of their homes. Our mission is to awaken the next generation on what is truly important, giving hope to the hopeless through real-life solutions by fighting climate change and planting 1 million trees by 2030. If we don't take action now, there won't be a planet left for our youth to inherit. For example, mangroves shield coastal communities. Louisiana cut down their mangroves, which increased the destruction from Hurricane Katrina. EcoUniverse is an open world game for VR and PC users, where players missions based on the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals and become superheroes, saying that it uses 5 elements of nature. Think Grand Theft Auto, with the opposite messaging and based on reality, preparing the youth to restore the balance on Earth, setting us apart from all other games. The Bridge Builder Challenge and use the funds to design AI ponds to fire seed pods and monitor reforestation sky. We gather information from these AI drones, NASA satellites, and our firm, then load the data into our game, thrusting our players into real-life restoration efforts. EcoUniverse is using AI for the betterment of humanity by replicating this work globally. Players earn points and superpowers for their good deeds. For example, when a player plants trees in the game, the world plants actual trees matching GPS Earth. We are planting 10 trees to unlock them to fly, and kids today will become superheroes of tomorrow. Oh, thanks for building the slides. So, yeah, just again,
Molly,
to go back in time.
Bramley, I'm sorry. We're going to have to move on to the question portion of the program. Judges, we have 4 minutes for questions.
No problem.
Hey, Bramley, so is your game in production? Can we go try it?
There is a prototype of the game. We are building the Eco-Universe on Baby Rage's prototype that they have. And we want to use superheroes that are real with superpowers to stop hurricanes, storms, tsunami, plant trees, engage with children, to really take them to the real world from the virtual reality, which is real. A tree is really planted in the project Myanmar, where we've planted 9.5 million trees in years.
And Bramley, how do you fund that then? So is it based on the subscription, the gamer subscription, so they have credits or they can buy credits to plant trees? Is that it?
$40, and we hope to sell about 250,000 units in about 15 months, and then about 10 we will use 4 million for retailers and distributors, and then the rest of the 6 million is back. So we still have a net profit of 1.25 million. We will go through all around the world that are restoring ecosystem. We get to their communities, and everyone who uses it in their schools, in their colleges, universities, can actually teach real time in the projects to do rest and address the sustainable goals.
Bramley, are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
sorry,
it's
very slow. I see you now.
Any other
Bramley,
questions, judges?
Yeah, just very quickly, Bramley, your Games for Good is awesome. Just very quickly, are you a game designer? I know you're a humanitarian, but yeah.
There's a whole game designing team that supported me, but I'm the guy who actually makes the project runs on the ground, the guy with the boots in the ground, making sure the drones are working, the artificial intelligence, and the planting, and the women on the ground. With the guy, I think, data from the field, actual game developers in Los Angeles.
Any other questions, judges?
Did we hear the valuation?
Well, the valuation will be based on how much impact we have on the ground, like the amount of trees we plant. This would be sequestering 1 million tons of carbon. And for example, if we even sell the carbon credits, those carbon credits could be sold at $10 or $20 per ton to the actual industries that work us with the community. Those can be sold back to the game. So and if we produce, like honey or sap from these projects, these products can also go through the game and reward the gamers through the game who are supporting these community-led projects on the ground. And whatever the communities produce will as reward points to the actual customers. But I'm going to tell you the real value right now. I should ask my financial officer to give you that number later.
I think that's all the time we have. Judges, thank you. And Bremley, thank you. And I'm sorry you're struggling from India.
Don't go anywhere, judges. You're not quite finished. We still have 5 minutes for the judges. I just want to take a moment and tell you how profoundly moved I am by the beautiful humanitarian projects. I know with all that, oh wow, I'm freezing now. I know that with all that's going on, you could have very well not done this. You've shown great grit and perseverance in a difficult time. And I want you to know that Yannicka and I are committed to helping you, not just today, but going forward. And we're so proud of you. That was phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry. Thanks. I'm so sorry, but we made it.
You showed great grace under difficult pressure. Thank you. That counts for a lot for an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much to all the judges.
I would like to thank all of our finalists again, and that was wonderful. I'm going to say goodbye to our finalists. A few more minutes for our judges. If our judges could please still stay.
Molly, what are the next steps for the finalists?
The next steps for the finalists are, as I said at the beginning, we will be posting at some point tonight when Becky Weno from the Sustainable Law Group tabulates the results. The judges have the ballots and they're about to vote right now. I'm going to go over the final guidelines with them. They will be voting. Becky will be tabulating, and at some point tonight before I go to sleep, we will post the 3 finalists on the internet, and an email will be sent out, which you'll all be copied on, who they are. The 3 finalists, you know what to do. You're moving to round 3. You've already been briefed on that. Again, thank you so much to the finalists. We are profoundly grateful. I'll say goodbye to the finalists. If you could zoom off, I'm going to talk now directly to the judges. Judges, please bring up your ballots.